everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I started my gardening YouTube channel just very recently, so I'm brand new at this, but I was motivated to start my channel because I discovered, along with a lot of my gardening friends, that there aren't very many YouTube channels out there on gardening devoted to Missouri gardeners. I come to you from central Missouri, and I happen to be a master gardener in the state of Missouri. So one of our missions as master gardeners, of course, is to share information about gardening, educate the public, but also hopefully inspire folks to try gardening or to grow in their gardening experience. You know, gardening is super great for us for all kinds of reasons. Health, well-being, physical health, our nutrition, all kinds of ways that gardening really is good to feed us in many ways. So that's part of the mission of Master Gardeners, not only in Missouri, but all across the state. So thank you for being here. So today I'm wanting to share with you what I've been up to inside my house as I am getting ready for the spring gardening season. Like many of you who garden, you know that December, January, February can still be fun as gardeners because that's the time we're hoping and dreaming about what we might do and grow in the next season. And so today I'm going to share with you some of the things I've been up to. For instance, for me, in the process of getting ready for a new season is starting to think about what I want to grow. And a lot of that has to do with me using those wonderful seed catalogs and spending time flipping through all those pages and marking those up and deciding to whittle down what it is I want to grow, because of course I want to grow everything and that's just not possible. So I'm going to share with you that part of the process that I go through. Then for me, the next step, after I've selected the seeds or selected the plants that I'm thinking I want to grow in my garden next year, then of course I start making those orders, and then I start thinking about, okay, when do I need to start my seeds? I have to have a calendar for that, because when you grow as many different varieties of things as I do, you got to be organized. And for me, that's my happy place. I love to be organized. I always have been. So I'll give you a little inside scoop into how I organize myself. Also, how I organize all of my seed packets, because there are many, many of them. And so I'll show you a way that I like to keep them organized. And yeah, so one of the joys of a gardener after the season has ended and you can't be outside digging in the dirt anymore is to think about and start planning for the next year's garden. And so that's what I devote most of December to, is looking through and trying to get inspiration from catalogs and magazines and that kind of thing. So I thought today I might show you some of the things I use for inspiration on what it is I might want to grow in my garden in the following year. Proven Winners produces these Gardener's Idea books, which are amazing. I really like them. I have a whole stack of different things here I want to show you, including those. I have them going back to, I don't know when they started publishing these, but these are really helpful to me. I'm really visual, as are, I bet, a lot of you, and so being able to take a look at some of their suggestions for pairing up annuals or perennials. In this case, this is a wonderful book about annuals and potting up things together. And so actually, I am going to create this in several of my self-watering pots. This is called Misty Seas, and this was the recipe of the year in, I think, 2023. So anyhow, that was my inspiration. It's beautiful whites and purples. It's all the Supertunia Mini Vista series. So I have designed 3 of my big self-watering pots that these are going to go in. So I've already decided these plants I'm going to grow. So anyhow, this can be really, really helpful to some of us who want to see different combinations of annuals in particular put together and how we might want to use those in our garden. So anyhow, nobody sponsors me. Proven Winners doesn't sponsor my sweet little YouTube channel. This is just me sharing with you all how I go about finding some inspiration on what I might want to have in my garden. Another thing, my favorite gardening magazine is Garden Gate. This is an amazing magazine that I subscribe to. It is loaded with beautiful photography, but more importantly for me, as a master gardener and somebody that wants to learn more than just, oh, that's so pretty, it gives you lots of information about the plants, the care, their origins, how to pair them together. So I wanted to share these with you. And so Gardener's Gate made this Containers Gardening magazine, which I am using this year for inspiration as well. All right, so after I get some inspiration that way, I always spend time inside in the winter looking through and dreaming through my seed catalogs. And I'm going to share my very favorite with you all now. This is very, very popular all across the U.S. and the world, and that's Baker Creek Rare Seeds. They sell heirloom seed varieties, and wow, you can tell by all the sticky notes. I want everything in this giant catalog that has 532 amazing pages to look through. Not only is the photography in this catalog beautiful, but they give you loads of information about each seed variety, each plant. And in addition to that, they have some wonderful articles in here that highlight where it is that they source some of their seed. And some of their rare seed comes from all over the world. They partner with growers and gardeners in lots of places. And I find that super fascinating and enjoyable. So Baker Creek seed catalog, probably my favorite, but I don't know. I don't guess I really have a favorite. Johnny Seeds, reliable, amazing germination from all of their seeds I've ever purchased, and really educational. When you get their seed packets in the mail, as I've done, I'll show you those in just a little bit, the seed packets are so well written. Everything you need to know about germination, about how to grow the plants, are all in the packets. So it really helps me, especially as I'm learning to grow different varieties that I've never grown before. Their information is stellar. So Johnny Seeds, amazing. Oh, here's another Baker Creek catalog. And then, of course, my favorite flower. I mean, I love tons of flowers I'm crazy about, but my favorite cut flower has to be, and I bet you it's your favorite too, or for some of you, is the gorgeous dahlia. Dahlias have made a massive resurgence in the U.S. Among growers in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years for sure. And Swan Island is my go-to source for purchasing my tubers. They are reliable. They give you loads of information again about how to care for your tubers. They're just quality. There's lots of other wonderful, I'm sure, dahlia tuber growers out there. So again, I'm just sharing with you what I like and what I've been using. So I will do my best to put in some links to all of these seed catalogs in the description below. So make sure you take a look at that later if you're interested in getting your hands on some of these catalogs for inspiration. And another tip I want to give you in terms of seed catalogs is you want to get into these in the fall, and you want to, if you can, make your selections and place your order for your seeds early January at the latest, especially if you're wanting some rare seeds or really popular seeds, things that sell out, and they do sell out. In fact, this beautiful purple tomato called the Purple Galaxy, I ordered my seeds from Baker Creek way back in November, very early December probably, and they were already sold out of the Purple Galaxy seeds. So anyhow, earlier the better, especially if you have popular varieties of seeds that you want to start growing. So word to the wise, it's what, mid-January right now. So if you haven't ordered your seeds yet for 2024, I would encourage you to take some time this week and start doing your research and making your selections. And if you're like me, you'll end up ordering, let's see, between Johnny's and Baker Creek this year, I think I ordered nearly 60 seed packets. So yeah, I have a lot of work to do. So here is how I like to store my seeds. I have these two little briefcases, as my husband calls these little kits or cases. That's where I store all of my seeds. And in this box here on the left, you can see this is the one I use for storing all of my seeds for veggies or herbs that I'm going to be growing. And so this is really great. So each container, I can just pull it out, and you know, sometimes we grow several varieties of the same type of vegetable or flower or whatever it is, and I'm trying to do this one-handed. So in this case, I've got different types of carrot seed that I'm going to be using in the garden. So that's one way. And then of course over here, this box is devoted to my flowers. I got into cut flower gardening, maybe 3 years ago. So I'm pretty much a newbie at it and trying to grow all these flowers from seed. So I'm super excited. This year I'm going to try stock. And gosh, I'm new to it. I tried to grow the stock last year, and I didn't have very good luck. I actually tried the winter, what's it called? Winter growing in the milk jugs. Tried to grow the winter sowing method in milk jugs, and my germination rate wasn't so hot. Maybe 30% of all the things I tried to grow in those milk jugs worked, but that's okay. It works great for other people, but for me, I am gonna start these seeds indoors and probably start a lot of these seeds in my greenhouse, which is one of the main reasons why we made the investment and purchased my amazing greenhouse, so that I could start most of my things from seed this year instead of buying plant starts. So it is a big project for me. I want to try to grow nearly everything I can in my raised bed garden from seed. I expect to have some successes and some challenges, and that's part of gardening. Another really helpful organizational tool that I like to use for my seed starting is I create myself a calendar. I just used a Word document, the little templates that come with Microsoft products. So I pulled up the template and created a seed starting reminder for myself for this coming season. And so what I do here is indicate which seeds I need to be starting and approximately on what date. So gosh, you've got February here. I'm gonna start some things that really need a long time to grow in my greenhouse before transplanting out. And then, as you can imagine, like a lot of us, March is big time seed starting for me. I've got a lot of work to do in mid to late March in terms of starting all these different seeds in the greenhouse. So wanted to share that with you all, because in my neck of the woods, our average last frost for Zone 6B here in mid-Missouri is around April 18-19. So once you identify when your last average frost date is, then you need to back up however many weeks the seed packet tells you that you need to begin germination before frost, the average last frost. And in many cases, seeds need to be sown 4, 6, 8, 10, sometimes even 12 weeks before the date of your average last frost. So just do the math and back up the calendar from frost date to when you might want to start your seeds. Just another way that I get myself organized for the next season. So here you're looking at the spreadsheet I use for my 2023 summer garden. And so what I like to do is just have a column on the left that's got all of the flowers and plants and veggies and things that I grow. And then I like to track things like the source. Where did those plants and or seeds come from, the actual variety, sometimes color, certainly if they are like my beautiful dahlias. I want to know the color range. And then when did I sow the seed, or when did I plant those things out in the garden? And then how did they perform? That's really helpful for me because I grow so many different things. I can't remember, quite honestly, from year to year how things perform. So you can see some of my notes. Here's one sad. Something died. Oh, I guess it was one of my old fire magics. Oh, old meaning it was an old tuber. It was a tuber that I'd wintered over some tubers for a couple different years, and it didn't make it last year. So anyways, won't be growing that one this year. Anyhow, so that's one type of spreadsheet that I use. And this is another type of spreadsheet that's new to me that I just created this year because I've never had a greenhouse before. And so this is where I am planning to record all of the things that I'm planting growing from seed in my greenhouse. And so I just started that process not too long ago. And so, yeah. So this is going to help me keep track of what I've planted, where I got them, and of course, when did I sow those seeds, what date did they germinate, when did I transfer them to a bigger pot and transplant them out in the garden, and most importantly, performance. Because again, I need to track how I've done and how these different varieties have done. So here I am in my home office, and I wanted to share with you what I've been working on in the last, I guess, couple of weeks. After I've got all my seeds picked out and have made decisions about what I want to try to grow, I like to map things out. I like to think about where I want to place things. So what you're seeing right here is my little notebook of graph paper, and this is an image of my raised garden bed, which I haven't shown you yet because I'm not growing anything in it right now, except the garlic actually that's in there for the winter. But anyhow, this just represents a little sketch of my raised bed garden area, which you can see I've got 9 different boxes that my husband and I have put together. And because I live out in the country in mid-Missouri, I have a 6-foot high fence around the perimeter of my raised bed garden, and it has done a beautiful job of keeping out any critters, which is really common when you live in the country. So anyhow, yeah, so I just wanted you to see some of my drawings and some of my notes that I am having to plan. I plan also for spring, and actually if I were to squeeze in here, this was 2022 notes. I keep notes from years past so I can see what I've grown and what I did well so I can do my crop rotation. But anyways, I always plan for spring, and I plan for, here we are, some notes, I plan for summer as well, because the spring crops, you know, when they start to dwindle out, it's time to plant my hot weather summer crops. So that's something that is really handy for me, is using my graph paper to do some sketches of different garden beds, as you can see, but also in particular my raised bed garden where I grow mostly veggies and cut flowers. This I really have to be on top of because, as you know, things have to go in the ground at different times, and I have to keep up with that and have a plan. So thanks everybody for joining me today as I had a chance to share with you all what I like to do and how I like to spend my time during the winter months in thinking about and dreaming about what kinds of plants that I want to grow for the next season and how I go about doing that. And so I share with you today some inspiration I get, which is definitely looking at my catalogs and my gardening magazines, as well as then getting those seeds ordered and ordered early. So I showed you that and showed you how I like to store my seeds. You know, storing seeds is really important. They can't get too hot and they can't get terribly cold. So you want to keep them inside. You don't want them to get wet or damp. So there's lots of ways to store seeds, but I just happen to use my little, as my husband says, my seed briefcases, as I shared with you. I'll also put a link in the description on where I purchased those. I think I got those on Amazon, so I'll share with you if you're interested. I also took time today to show you my sketches of my garden maps in my little folder that I have used for years. Really helpful for me to plan out not only my spring garden, but my summer and hot weather crop garden. Also took some time to share with you spreadsheets that I use. And listen, I just like to be organized because I grow so many different things, and I guess I have to be organized because I forget stuff. I cannot remember like exactly when things need to go in the ground and that kind of thing. So that spreadsheet really helps me, but also I can't remember necessarily how certain crops did from year to year. So having that spreadsheet where I make sure I make notes on the performance, how did that flower do, and do I want to grow it again, really helps me in my planning and dreaming about gardens. And lastly, I shared with you all my calendar for seed starting. I'm new to seed starting on this scale since I got my wonderful greenhouse. My plan is to try to grow about 80% of all of my veggies, herbs, and flowers from seed this year, rather than buying plants at the nursery that are already ready to go and mature and just to pop those in to my garden. So I'm going to try, and it'll be exciting and fun and interesting. I know I have a lot to learn, and so I hope you'll come along on my channel. And again, please subscribe if you enjoyed any of the content today and like what you're seeing, and hang in there with me and come along as hopefully when the weather improves, I get out in the garden and start growing those seeds that I've been dreaming about. So thanks everybody, and as always, happy gardening.